You were never just a man to her. You were a mirror, a meaning, a moment stretched into eternity. Even now, long after your voice has gone quiet and your presence has vanished from her world, she still talks to you. In her thoughts, in her dreams, in the quiet corners of her day. Not to you, perhaps, but to the version of you that lives in her memory. And that version, he still holds her. She can't let go. Not because she lacks strength, not because she's weak, but because some part of her has fused with the emotion that once tied her to you. And emotions once rooted in the heart do not obey time. They obey meaning. And to her, you meant something far deeper than you ever realized. You see, there's an invisible thread that forms when someone gives you their vulnerability, their truest self. When a woman opens herself emotionally, when she lets someone see her in her raw, unguarded state, a bond forms that no breakup can easily erase. It's not just about love. It's about the emotional imprint you left on her soul. What you shared wasn't just physical, it was spiritual. And while your hands may have let go of hers, your imprint still lingers on her skin, in her heartbeat, in her breath when she remembers the sound of your laughter. She replays conversations, relives moments. Why? Because memory is a prison. And inside those memories, she finds both comfort and torment. It's where you still exist. Not as the man who walked away, but as the man she needed you to be. The one she hoped you'd become. She clings not just to you, but to the idea of you, the unfinished story she still tells herself. And here's what you may not understand. You became part of her identity, not just a chapter in her story. You became part of the author's voice. And when someone becomes a part of how you see yourself, losing them feels like losing a piece of who you are. She tries to let go. She really does. But every attempt feels like tearing herself away from something sacred, something that once gave her hope. Love has a way of convincing us that it's forever, even when it's clearly not. And when that belief is shattered, the heart doesn't just move on, it mourns. This is the echo of unfinished love, the kind that never got closure, the kind that left questions instead of peace. She's haunted not only by what was, but by what could have been. And still, she waits. Not for your return necessarily, but for the feeling she once had with you. She waits for the moment when someone else will awaken her heart the way you did. But deeper down, she fears no one ever will. So you ask, why can't she let go? Because she wasn't just in love with you. She was in love with who she became when she was with you. And letting go of that version of herself, that feels like death. Until she learns to separate her worth from your presence. Until she realizes that healing isn't betrayal. She will remain emotionally chained. Not to your body, not to your presence, but to the memory of the man she loved and the woman she was when she loved him. This is not weakness. This is the cost of loving deeply in a world that often rewards detachment. But in that ache, in that emotional entrapment, lies something sacred. A reminder that when love is real, it carves itself into the soul. Not to hurt, but to prove it existed, and now you know. She can't let go, because somewhere, deep inside her, she still believes you were meant to stay. There exists a connection between two people that is not visible to the eye, but deeply felt in the soul. It's not made of words or promises, nor is it defined by time or circumstance. It forms quietly, sometimes without either person realizing, during the moments when walls are let down and emotions are shared with honesty. This invisible thread wraps itself around moments that seemed small, her laughing at your jokes, the way she looked at you when you weren't looking at her, the way her body relaxed when she felt safe in your presence. It begins not with grand gestures, but with trust, with repetition, with a feeling of home. And when that thread tightens, when it has been pulled through shared vulnerability, mutual longing, and emotional exposure, it begins to tether her heart to you in a way she cannot fully explain. Not even to herself. She may not talk about it, and she may act like she's fine. She may post the pictures, say the right words, even entertain the company of others. But beneath the surface, that thread is still there, gently tugging at her chest when a song plays, when someone uses a word you always used, when a familiar scent brushes past her in the street. She can't escape it because it isn't just about memory. It's about an emotional resonance that still lives in her. You aren't just someone she dated. You're someone her heart opened up to. And when a heart truly opens, it doesn't close neatly. It doesn't operate on logic or timelines. That thread exists in the space between what happened and what was felt. And what was felt doesn't dissolve with silence or distance. In fact, sometimes the thread grows tighter in your absence. Sometimes, it becomes more noticeable after you're gone because what's missing becomes louder than what was ever said. You may not feel it. You may have cut your end cleanly, but hers still pulses with emotion. Because when she connected to you, she connected deeply, not to the perfect version of you, but to the parts of you that made her feel seen. And if you were ever her safe space, even for a moment, the thread becomes nearly impossible to sever. That's the cruelty and beauty of emotional intimacy. It binds without permission and lingers without warning. She may try to distract herself. She may try to move on. But nothing feels the same because nothing carries the same frequency as the thread still attached to you. It hums at a vibration that only she can feel, like a song that only plays inside her bones. This thread doesn't need your presence to exist. It only needs her memory of who you were to her. And the more real that memory was, the stronger the thread becomes. Strong enough to pull her back at night, strong enough to make her second-guess healing, strong enough to keep you alive in a place where no one else can reach. Memory has no respect for time. It doesn't ask for permission before it floods back into the present, dragging with it moments you thought you buried. For her, memory is not a quiet echo. It's a relentless captor. Every glance, every laugh, every fight, every touch has been stored in a hidden archive that she cannot delete. And though the world expects her to move on, to let go, to smile and function and pretend, inside she's walking the same hallway over and over, haunted by fragments of you that won't fade.
She remembers the exact way you said her name when you were tired, the curve of your smile when you weren't trying to be charming, the silence you gave her when you were mad, the comfort you gave her when you weren't. These aren't just
thoughts. They're visceral flashbacks stitched into her nervous system. Memory doesn't live in her mind. It lives in her skin, her breath, her pulse. There's a reason she can't let go easily. It's because the past doesn't feel gone. It feels present. You are still in her house when she walks into a room, still in the song that comes on while she drives, still in the space next to her when she reaches for someone in the dark. Her mind replays conversations like old recordings, trying to find the exact moment when everything changed. She re-examines her words, wondering which ones pushed you further away. She replays yours, wondering which ones were real and which were just temporary comfort. This loop doesn't end. It repeats, over and over again, until it wears her down and makes her question whether any of it was ever genuine or if her memory is betraying her too. The cruel thing about memory is that it doesn't bring back just what happened. It brings back how it felt. She doesn't just recall you holding her hand. She feels the safety in that touch. She doesn't just remember your voice. She feels the calm it brought her. This is what makes memory a prison. It doesn't show her the reasons you left. It keeps replaying the reasons she stayed. It's not reminding her of why you were wrong for her. It's reminding her of every reason she believed you were right. So when people tell her to let it go, they don't understand what she's up against. She's not holding on because she wants to. She's trapped in a cycle where her memories have become both the enemy and the sanctuary. The place where she goes to remember joy, and the place where she returns to suffer quietly. Her mind has become a museum of everything you once were, and she walks through it daily, touching the glass, wondering what part of it was ever real, and what part of it she created just to feel loved a little longer. There's a silence that follows love when it ends without closure, a silence that's louder than any fight, more piercing than any goodbye. It's the kind of silence that leaves her staring at the ceiling long after midnight, wondering what would have happened if just one conversation had gone differently. This is the echo of unfinished love. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It slips in through cracks in her day, subtle but heavy, carrying all the questions that never found answers. She's not haunted by betrayal or finality. What haunts her is the unknown. The sentence that never finished. The door that never properly closed. The feeling that something beautiful was left incomplete. And now it loops in her like a song, missing its final note. You didn't just leave, you left her wondering. Wondering if it was her fault. Wondering if you ever meant what you said. Wondering if you still think of her. That wondering doesn't fade with time. It grows. It evolves into theories, into dreams, into imagined conversations where she finally says everything she never got the chance to say. In her mind, you still sit across from her. In those invisible dialogues, she asks you why. She asks if you ever felt what she felt. She asks if you ever look back. And sometimes in those imagined moments, she hears what she needs to hear. But when she opens her eyes, reality offers no answers. Just silence. Unfinished love creates emotional noise that never settles. It's the part of her story that remains unwritten, the part she reads over and over trying to make sense of a plot that lost its direction. And even if she meets someone new, even if she tries to rebuild, the past still calls out. Not loudly, not destructively, but constantly, like a low hum in the background of her life. Because deep down, the heart doesn't care about logic. The heart cares about connection. And when a connection is severed before it fully blooms, the soul treats it like a wound that can't clot. She's not just mourning what was lost. She's mourning what never got the chance to exist. There were versions of you together that only lived in her imagination. Vacations you never took. Fights you never had but would have survived. Moments of growing older together that now belong to no one. These possibilities replay in her mind like alternate endings to a film that cut to black too soon. She still holds on to that reel, not because she can't move on, but because it was never allowed to end properly. There was no closure, no unraveling, just a sudden break, and now she carries the weight of words unsaid, love unspent, futures unlived. That's the thing about unfinished love. It doesn't die. It just echoes endlessly inside the hearts of the ones who were left holding pieces they never got to put together. There's something most people never notice when they fall in love. How slowly and quietly the other person begins to shape the way they see themselves. When she gave you her heart, she didn't just invite you into her life. She invited you into her identity. You became a mirror, one that reflected back how worthy, how beautiful, how wanted she felt in your presence. And over time, that mirror became part of how she measured her own value. Not because she lacked self-worth, but because love, especially the kind that feels safe and electric all at once, has a way of stitching itself into a person's self-perception. And now that you're gone, it's not just the relationship she misses, it's the version of herself she was when she was with you. You saw her in ways that made her feel real. The way you looked at her, the attention you gave her, the comfort of knowing someone chose her again and again. That all became part of her emotional foundation. You validated more than just her presence. You validated her voice, her laugh, her dreams, her body, her soul. So when things ended, it didn't feel like walking away from a partner. It felt like being pulled away from the person she thought she was finally allowed to be. The confidence she carried wasn't entirely hers. It was built in part through the way you responded to her, that look in your eyes, that energy in your voice when she walked into the room. That was more than affection. It was affirmation. It whispered to her, "You are enough. You are wanted. You are seen." And now that whisper is gone. That absence hits in places she didn't expect. It's in the way she hesitates before posting a photo. In the way she doubts her choices now, second-guessing what you would have thought. In the way she replays your compliments in her head on days when she doesn't feel like much at all. She's not just grieving you, she's trying to reassemble her sense of self without the framework your love once gave her. That's what makes it so hard to let go. Because to fully let go of you would mean letting go of the validation she became emotionally dependent on. And that's terrifying. Because deep down, she wonders, without you seeing her that way, is she still that woman? This is the identity she built in your presence. Stronger, softer, more open, more alive. She started to love herself through the way you loved her. And when that love disappeared, it left a silence where there used to be reassurance. That's the kind of emptiness that lingers. Because what she's really fighting is not just the memory of you, but the fear that she may never feel that version of herself again. So she holds on, not just to who you were, but to who she became in your reflection, hoping she can someday feel that hole without needing someone else to remind her of who she is. There are moments in life that don't just pass, they brand us. They leave a mark so deep that no time, no distraction, no new love can erase them. That's what happened with you and her. What you shared wasn't just a series of memories, it was a pattern of emotion that etched itself into her nervous system. Scientists call it emotional imprinting. But she just knows it as the unshakable feeling that you are still somehow part of her, even if you're not around. This isn't fantasy, it's biology, it's chemistry, and it's the way the human heart remembers what it once trusted, once opened up to, once made a home inside. When she fell for you, her brain flooded with the chemicals that bond people. Oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, all of them working together to create safety, joy, and attachment. Every time you touched her, every time you said her name in that certain tone, her mind recorded it. Not just as a memory, but as a feeling. The warmth of your presence, the sound of your laughter, the calm in your voice when everything else felt chaotic. These things became a pattern, and the human brain doesn't forget patterns easily, especially the ones tied to safety and love. She remembers how she felt in your presence more than she remembers the words you said. It's why just hearing someone with a voice like yours or passing by your cologne in a crowd can stop her heart for a second. Those emotional triggers still exist, buried in her subconscious, waiting to be reactivated by the smallest reminder. You weren't just a part of her life, you became a part of her emotional blueprint. And now, even though you're not there, her body reacts as if you're still supposed to be, as if at any moment you'll come back and finish what was started. That's why letting go isn't just hard, it feels unnatural. Her brain still thinks of you as a source of emotional safety, even if logic knows otherwise. It's the same reason people revisit songs that hurt them or drive past places that hold pain. They're chasing the emotional imprint, hoping it might give them something again, even just for a moment. She may cry, she may be angry, she may say she's done. But inside, her system is still rewiring itself, trying to understand how something that once felt like home can now feel like exile. And that process takes time. Not because she's weak, but because emotional imprinting doesn't ask for your permission. It just happens, deep, unconscious, and lasting. You became part of her inner world, not just as a memory, but as a signal of what love once felt like. And until something else comes along that makes her feel that seen, that safe, that alive again, her body will still look for you, even if her mind knows better. Pain is not always something people want to escape, not when it becomes familiar, not when it's tied to something that once felt like love. For her, the pain of losing you didn't just arrive one day and demand to be felt. It crept in, quietly and consistently, and then it stayed. And somewhere in that staying, it became a strange kind of comfort. Because even though the pain hurts, it still keeps her connected to you. It reminds her that what you had was real, that the love she gave wasn't imagined, that her heart didn't open for nothing. That ache she carries, it's proof. Proof that there was something worth missing. And sometimes, when the world moves on too fast and the days begin to blur, she leans into that pain not to suffer, but to feel, to remember. The irony is, you are no longer there, and yet your absence is the most present thing in her life, and she doesn't want to forget it. Not entirely. Because forgetting would mean erasing a part of herself that still feels sacred. The tears she cries alone, the weight she carries in her chest, the sudden wave of emotion that strikes her when she least expects it. Those things keep the love alive in some way. It's not that she's addicted to the sadness, it's that the sadness is all she has left of you. And sometimes, letting go of that sadness feels like letting go of the last thread that connects you both. She knows she should move on. She hears it from others. She even tells herself that late at night, when she's trying to sleep, but keeps finding you in the space beside her. But here's the truth no one talks about. Healing feels like betrayal when the love still lingers. The idea of waking up one day and not aching for you terrifies her more than the ache itself. Because what does it mean if she stops missing you? That it wasn't real, that she's replaceable, that what you had can simply fade away with time and distraction? So she stays in that pain. Not because she doesn't want to move forward, but because the pain is the only thing that still feels real. Everything else, the pretending, the forced smiles, the conversations with people who don't understand, it all feels fake compared to the raw truth of what she lost. In the pain, at least she knows she was all in, that she loved fully, deeply, honestly. There's a strange kind of strength in that, a quiet pride that says, I showed up for love, even if it broke me. And for now, that pain, sharp as it is, brings her closer to that truth. It's not weakness, it's remembrance. It's a way to hold on when there's nothing left to hold except the echo of what once felt like everything. So when you wonder why she can't let go, why she still hesitates when your name comes up, why a part of her still aches in silence long, after you've walked away, understand that it's not about weakness, it's not about obsession, it's not even about you anymore. It's about the imprint you left on her heart. It's about the emotional blueprints drawn in moments of safety, laughter, vulnerability, and love. It's about the version of herself she discovered in your arms and the invisible thread that now ties her past to her present. You weren't just someone she loved. You became a part of how she experiences herself, how she sees love, how she remembers what it felt like to be seen. This isn't something she can turn off. This isn't something she can get over with time alone, because time doesn't erase emotional truth. It only buries it deeper until something small and sudden digs it back up again. You were a chapter that never found its ending. A song that played once, but never left her ears. A ghost that doesn't haunt her with fear, but with familiarity. And until she rewrites her identity without you, until something new feels just as real, just as safe, just as soul deep, she will keep searching for pieces of you in places you'll never return. So before you judge her silence, her sadness, her inability to move on, remember this. Emotional bonds are not broken by distance or silence or even the decision to walk away. They're broken only by healing, and healing takes honesty, time, and the painful unraveling of something that once felt like forever. And until that unraveling is complete, her heart will still call your name in the quietest places inside her, hoping for an answer it knows will never come, but asking anyway. And that is why she can't let you go.